Hi everyone, it's Tiba from Healthwise, and it's autumn, which means that it's pumpkin season. So pumpkins are wonderful because you can use them in so many different ways, and I have a Pinterest board underneath this video with many different recipes. But one of the ways that you can use pumpkin that I really love is actually to spice it up a little bit. So the pumpkin spice mix, which I will show you how to make in this video, is a mix of spices that is associated with a more sweet taste of pumpkin. So it's used mostly in pumpkin pie in American culture, but also in the pumpkin spice latte that Starbucks has made very famous. So you can add the spice mix, you can make it, store it in a jar like this one, and then keep it in your kitchen for up to a year, and then just add it to dishes as diverse as smoothies and porridge or coffee, pretty much whatever you want. You can even add it to more savory dishes like soups, and it gives it a nice kind of taste. So usually associated with pumpkin, but not necessarily, just to give that taste that we think of as being the pumpkin taste. So pumpkin spice mix can be made in many different ways. This is my mix that I think works really nicely. First thing is cinnamon. So cinnamon is a sweet spice, and we use quite a bit of it. So we're going to use about 2 tablespoons. So I'm just using a regular tablespoon. You can use measuring spoons as well if you prefer. And I'm putting it into a bowl, just a mixing bowl that I'm going to use. So I put my 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. And now I'm going to put ginger. So I have ground ginger, and I'm going to put 4 teaspoons of that. So ginger is actually a taste that works really nicely, I think, with pumpkin. Even if you use fresh ginger in a soup, I think it works really nicely as well. I don't know, I think they pair really well together. Maybe it's because ginger is a more pungent spice and pumpkin has a more sweet taste, so they contrast quite well. Whereas all the other spices that we're using are actually sweet spices, so they're more complementing than contrasting with the sweetness of the pumpkin. So then we are going to put 1 teaspoon of cloves. So we have cloves over here. We're adding in a teaspoon. So cloves are ground cloves, so they're quite a powerful spice. Usually we don't put too much of it, so just 1 teaspoon is enough. And it's the same with nutmeg as well. So nutmeg is probably, if I would say there's one spice that we tend to associate the most with pumpkin, it's probably nutmeg, because that's the most dominant taste, I think, in the Starbucks pumpkin spice latte. And it's also one of the few spices that I think is really worth using whole and then just grating yourself. So I just have a grater here. And I'm going to grate, I have my teaspoon in the bowl, and I'm going to just kind of eyeball it and see when I have about a teaspoon of this. So I think I'm good. Again, it's a pretty powerful spice, so we're only putting a teaspoon in here, but the taste will be quite dominant in the spice mix. And the last spice is actually a spice called allspice, which is not absolutely necessary, but I love it. It's actually one of my favorite spices because it's a very special taste. It actually looks like this. So it's actually, they look a bit like pepper, and it's called allspice, but it's actually not a mix of spices. It's just that's the name that the explorers gave it because they felt like when they tasted it, they thought it tasted like a mix of spices. But it's actually just one spice that comes in little balls like this, a bit like pepper. And we are going to put just 1 teaspoon of this as well because it is a pretty powerful spice too. Ooh, a bit too much. So you can see it's pretty approximative work. It's not really, it's not really chemistry or anything. And the way I do it, it's kind of, it doesn't have to be super precise. That's what I love about spice mixes is that, you can make it and then taste it. And if you feel like, oh, okay, this is a bit off, maybe I should add a bit more cinnamon because I need a little bit more kind of sweet taste. You just do that. There's really no right or wrong way of doing things. And then it also depends on your personal taste. Maybe you want a bit more ginger, a little bit more nutmeg, because that's the taste that you like with your pumpkin, and that's fine. You can just do that. So This is my spice mix. As you can see now, I've just mixed it a little bit so it looks uniform. And now I'm just going to put it in a jar that I can store for up to a year. So I have a funnel. I'm just going to pour this in here. If you don't have a funnel, you can just do it with a spoon. That's fine as well. I just find that a funnel is actually really helpful for liquid preparations as well, like if you're making your own almond milk, and yeah, and spice mixes as well. It's a nice thing to have in your kitchen, kind of one of those nice to haves. And there you go, you're done. You have your pumpkin spice mix, and you can keep this for up to a year, and you can also give it away as presents. So you can put it in a nice jar with a little label that says pumpkin spice mix, and that's it. So I hope you enjoy. Give it a try, and check out all the pumpkin recipes as well, and enjoy the season.